The Kolbrin Bible is an ancient text composed of a series of manuscripts written in ancient Egyptian and Aramaic, which were then translated into English in 1904. This text, also known as the Kolbrin Manuscripts, contains stories and teachings from various ancient cultures and traditions. Scholars believe that some of the texts contained in it date back to different historical epochs, including ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, and ancient Britain. The composition of the Kolbrin Bible has been attributed to many sources, including Celtic druids, Essenes, followers of Jesus, Knights Templar, and other spiritual and philosophical groups. The Great Flood is something present in many cultures. For example, we have it in the Bible that we know, in Sumerian, Babylonian, and even Indian history. Did you know that many Native American tribes report coming from underground, and that man was created in those places by an advanced civilization that had created underground cities to protect themselves from floods and destruction that occurred on the surface? Before telling you about the disturbing fact of this book, I want to conclude this alleged puzzle that I am forming with the information of Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, an esotericist who claimed that humanity had existed on Earth for a long time, and that the current was only the fifth humanity, previous ones having been swept away by various catastrophes. Moving on to the Kolbrin Bible, after the creation of man, we have a destruction that destroys most of human civilization. This account begins by telling us, it is known, and history comes from ancient times, that there was not only one creation but two, a creation and a recreation. It is a fact known by the wise that the earth was completely destroyed once, then reborn on a second wheel of creation. At the time of the great destruction of the earth, God brought a dragon from heaven to wrap it up. The dragon was terrifying to look at. It shook its tail, breathed fire and embers, and a great catastrophe befell humanity. The dragon's body was enveloped in a cold, bright light, and under its belly, there was a reddish light, while behind it, it dragged a smoking tail. It spat ashes and hot stones, and its breath was fetid and stinky, poisoning men's nostrils. Its passage caused great thunder and lightning that tore apart the dark and dense sky, making all celestial and earthly things hot. The seas rose from their cradles and poured onto the earth. There was a terrible sound of trumpets, which even overwhelmed the rumble of the unleashed winds. Men, struck by terror, went crazy in the face of the horrendous sight in the skies. They were liberated from their minds and went mad, not knowing what they were doing. The breath was taken from their bodies, and they were burned by a strange ash. The text goes on in terror and destruction, and we have this other passage that I wanted to tell you about, which happens almost immediately after. The first celestial monster was reached by another, which swallowed the tail of the one in front, but the two could not be seen at the same time. The celestial monsters reigned and raged over the earth, fighting to possess it, but God's many-bladed sword cut them to pieces, and their falling bodies enlarged the earth and the sea. In this way, the first earth was destroyed by the calamity that descended from the sky. The vaults of heaven opened to give birth to monsters more frightening than any that had ever plagued men's restless dreams. The men and their places of dwelling had disappeared, only celestial rocks and red earth remained where they once were, but amidst all the desolation, some survived, for man is not easily destroyed. They dragged themselves out of caves and descended from mountains. Their eyes were wild and their limbs trembled, their bodies shook and their tongues lacked control. Their faces were contorted and their skin hung loosely from their bones. They were like crazed wild beasts, driven into a pen before the flames. They knew no law, deprived of all the wisdom they once had, and those who had led them had disappeared. Now my question is, many cultures speak of a flood, as I have already mentioned at the beginning of this video. Nowadays, we talk about vanished ancient civilizations like the presumed ones of Atlantis and new civilizations that are said to have been very advanced. Is it possible that the earth is cyclically subject to destruction that wipes out ancient civilizations? Clearly, I don't have the answer, but this series of clues is quite disturbing. Thanks for watching.